In STEM 1, we're going to be looking at how are sports injuries classified and managed. Students will learn about ways to classify sports injuries, looking in particular at direct and indirect, soft and hard tissue, and overuse injuries. Direct injuries. These can be classified or caused by an external blow or force. So direct injuries can be caused by a collision with another person, for example, during a tackle in rugby union, or being struck with an object, for example, a cricket ball or a hockey stick. So the point of impact occurs where the injury is. An indirect injury can occur in two ways. The first one is that the actual injury can occur some distance from the impact site. For example, falling on an outstretched hand can result in a dislocated shoulder, as you would see a lot of the time with people that snowboard or ski. Or the second type could be is that the injury does not result from physical contact with an object or person, but from internal forces built up by the actions of the performer, such as may be caused by overstretching, poor technique in running, fatigue, and lack of fitness. So ligament sprains and muscle strains and tears are examples of these injuries. In this picture here that you will see is that Michael Ennis steps off his left foot, but he damages his left knee. So for an indirect injury, the point of impact on the ground is his foot, but the injury happens at his knee. So it's an indirect injury. We then come to the classification of soft tissue injuries. So soft tissue injuries are the most common injuries resulting from participation in sport. They can include any of the following: skin injuries, so an abrasion, grazing, lacerations, which is a cut, or blisters, muscle injuries, so a tear or a strain of muscle fibres, tendon injuries, tear or strains of tendon fibres and inflammation, or ligament injuries, sprains and tears of ligament fibres. So any of these could be classified. You can see in the top right corner, you've got Torres, the soccer player, holding his right hamstring. So he's damaged the muscle being his hamstring, so that's a soft tissue injury. The picture in the middle, you've got obviously some ligament damage to an ankle. You can see all the bruising coming out in the ankle. That's another example of soft tissue injury being the ligament injury. And the first picture on the left is the cuts on the arm. They're the lacerations, another soft tissue injury. A hard tissue injury are those involving damage to the bones of the skeleton, but they can also include the teeth. Right? They range from severe fractures and joint dislocations to bruising of the bone. In this picture here, we have a bone, and we can see that through the x-ray, the bone's been broken, so that's a hard tissue injury. So a hard tissue injury is any break in the bone or any injury involving some form of bone. It could be a dislocation. And the last classification we have are overuse injuries. These can occur from excessive and repetitive force is placed on bones and other connective tissues of the body. So examples of these would be is that people might have a poor backhand technique in tennis. So every time they swing the racket, they get problems at the elbow. Another common injury would be shin splints or shin soreness, which is small stress fractures in the shins. Particularly happens around the start of pre-season training, where athletes go from doing no activity to having high volumes of work, especially over summer where the grounds are a lot harder. As we can see in this picture here, this gentleman's running on the road, which means there's impact from a hard surface on his shins that could result in shin splints.